The Abu Dhabi GP is bringing a finale to what many fans perceived as the most monotonous season in quite a while, but it's not all that dark for the F1 fans after all. There are still some battles that need to be won by four teams on the grid: McLaren, Aston Martin, as well as Ferrari and Mercedes, as the margins between them are razor thin. But on top of that, the Drivers' Championship also has a lot of place for disruptions from P4 to P8. So be that as it may, there will be a lot to look out for in the 2023 finale. The only question remains, who will prevail on top? Will Mercedes be able to keep up the lead on Ferrari, and will Aston Martin be able to make a sudden jump on McLaren after the miserable downfall they had in the second half of the season? It goes without saying that Red Bull's dominance in 2023 has been one of the most statement-making seasons that a team could possibly have done, as they've left only one race to be not won by one of their drivers, Singapore. Nonetheless, with 18 wins from Verstappen and 2 wins from Perez, the Austrian team clinched the first 1-2 finish in the Drivers' Championship. However, that's not what we're going to be looking forward to in the last race of the season, as Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin and McLaren are all poised to give us fights to remember, even though they are not for the championship itself. The difference that one place in the Constructors' Championship can make is worth around $10 to $30 million. So there will be a lot at stake, and drivers will be motivated more than ever to put everything they've got into it to be placed higher on the grid. What goes heavily in this factor is the fact that Mercedes, McLaren and Aston Martin will have a huge advantage here due to their cars being more favourable of the Abu Dhabi's nature. High-speed corners like the one in Barcelona and Qatar, and I think we all know how those races ended for those respective teams. On the other hand, although Ferrari has a bit of hope that they will be placed to compete with the rest, it will be extremely hard for them to beat Mercedes on pure pace, as Vasseur said that the last race will be everything to play for. Be that as it may, the situation is quite highly anticipated, and there's a lot to witness from the challengers that are all going through a revamping process in 2024 in order to get closer to the RB20, a mission that has been dubbed impossible before it even started. Elaborating on this, Toto Wolff went on to say, "We now need to refocus ahead of Abu Dhabi. It's a tight battle in the Constructors' Championship, and we hope to be able to deliver a strong result here." Obviously, the Silver Arrows have had quite a troublesome season, and the fact that Russell only has one podium to his name and is the 8th driver in the championship right now goes to say that this will be a season to forget quickly. On the other hand, he has been steadily outperformed by Hamilton, who entered the 2023 season with a burden on his shoulder, prove that he's not past his prime, and the 2022 slump was just a one-year show and something that will not repeat itself in the foreseeable future. So far, he's succeeding in a great way, and what does seem like a huge boost is the Austin upgrades, ones that, while proved to be difficult to understand in Brazil and Las Vegas, have proved solid information to Mercedes for whatever direction they want to chase in 2024. Ferrari plans to top off its reliability issues as well as the lack of pace in the last race of the season, as the momentum has definitely shifted towards them in the past couple of races. Even with the penalty of Sainz in Las Vegas, he managed to finish ahead of both Mercedes drivers, although it took Russell the 5-second penalty in order for the Spaniard to finish in P6. Be that as it may, Vasseur feels like the momentum is heavily shifted towards his team now, and when talking about this, he went on to say, "If you consider that we were 60 points behind them a couple of races ago, we're on a good path, but Abu Dhabi will be another story. 4 points, it's nothing or a lot." And again, we were able to perform in Monza, in Singapore, in Mexico during this weekend on different tracks with different weather conditions, different compounds, and we can be more than motivated before Abu Dhabi. The momentum is for us, and let's see what happens. Time will tell whether the high-speed corner nature of Abu Dhabi will suit the W14 or the SF23 more, but the high downforce requirements of the track are also something that the Maranello team is looking forward to. So this is definitely a battle we're going to be highly anticipating in the upcoming weekend. Luckily for us, it's not the only one, as Aston Martin, although a bit pessimistic, have also managed to creep behind McLaren and be 11 points behind the Woking-based squad headed into the last race of the season. This has been heavily boosted by the largely criticised driver of Stroll, who managed to have 2 P5 finishes in back-to-back races in Brazil and Las Vegas. So if we're to talk about how McLaren finished in those 2 races, I'd say that Aston Martin also has a momentum they can ride on in the last race of the season. When talking about this, the team didn't want to boost the hopes of their fans on an empty basis, even though they said the battle is on and they will not give up while there's still a chance. Mike Crack went on to say, "For me, it doesn't change anything. Compared to 2 or 3 races ago, we can only influence what we do ourselves. The first bit is we have to have a fast car in Abu Dhabi because we are behind. So it's something that we are not on the defence. We have to go flat out and then we see. We have to do the best possible and then we see what is the result." Aston Martin was definitely the most pleasant surprise of the 2023 season, at least in the first half of it, when Alonso managed to win 6 podiums in the first 8 venues. But in the remainder of the 13 races, the Spaniard managed to climb on the podium only 2 more times, in Zandvoort and Brazil. Nonetheless, Stroll has found a decent form in the last 2 races, and that has been a huge boost for his team, considering that McLaren struggled heavily in the past 2 races, which is why the battle has been brought to the last race of the season. Elaborating on this, Crack feels like his team still has a lot to prove ahead of the season's finale, adding, "We were not lost before. I think it will be maybe arrogant to say that we are on top of everything. I said it many times, the cars are very complex. I think there is a lot to learn still for us. So I will not say that we are on top of everything, but we have learned a lot this year." After not being competitive for 2 races, Oscar Piastri and McLaren hope there is more written in the stars for them in the last race of the season, and his glimpse of optimism can also be backed up by the strong pace that the MCL 60 has shown in similar circuits, like the ones in Qatar, Barcelona and Silverstone. Elaborating on this matter, as well as the unexpectedly good pace in Las Vegas, the young Aussie went on to say, "I think we knew we had reasonable pace yesterday. I think today was arguably a little bit better pace than what we expected. But yeah, it was just a shame yesterday that we kind of got caught out in qualifying, and that made life a little bit more difficult. Nice to know that the car pace is still good in the race on a circuit like this that we knew wasn't really going to suit us very well. And yeah, hopefully Abu Dhabi we can finish the year off strong." The Drivers' Championship will also see a close clash between the 2 Spaniards, Alonso and Sainz, who are equalled at 200 points, and Norris is just 5 points behind at P6. At 188 points, Leclerc will be looking for his chance to creep into the top 5, while Russell's chances are quite limited with 160 points in the season so far. Be that as it may, the 2023 season is going to end with a bang, and these 8 drivers are the ones we're going to look very closely at in the upcoming finale. Who do you think will prevail in the battles brewing in Abu Dhabi? Let us know in the comments below.